Line Whisperer is back for another week of some gambling winners. First, let's recap last week. Another undefeated week in my higher tier. Line Whisperer is back for another week of some gambling winners. First, let's recap last week. Another undefeated week in my higher tier. Big days, big plays, and bonus. Minnesota, 28.5-point favorite, 142-7. I was a little close. It was 21-0 after 3. And thankfully, Minnesota put together 3 touchdowns real quick to cover that spread. I was a little nervous most of that one. And then Oregon, losing majority of the game. Fourth quarter comes through, wins by 4. Covered a 2.5-point spread. And on the sheet, it said 1.5 plus 1.5 for Florida State. Actually, when I made the bet, it was +2. So I'm going to call that a push. So we went 2-0-1, which means undefeated, no losses, last week. So did very well there. My frisky bets didn't do so well. Iowa State's the only one that came through for me. They are a machine, Iowa State. I'm just going to keep betting on them. They've been a heavy covering machine on the road, at home, doesn't matter. So let's see who we like this week. First, let's recap last week. Another undefeated week in my higher tier. Big days, big plays, and bonus. Minnesota, 28.5-point favorite, 142-7. I was a little close. It was 21-0 after 3. And thankfully, Minnesota put together 3 touchdowns real quick to cover that spread. I was a little nervous most of that one. And then Oregon, losing majority of the game. Fourth quarter comes through, wins by 4. Covered a 2.5-point spread. And on the sheet, it said 1.5 plus 1.5 for Florida State. Actually, when I made the bet, it was +2. So I'm going to call that a push. So we went 2-0-1, which means undefeated, no losses, last week. So did very well there. My frisky bets didn't do so well. Iowa State's the only one that came through for me. They are a machine, Iowa State. I'm just going to keep betting on them. They've been a heavy covering machine on the road, at home, doesn't matter. So let's see who we like this week. The Line Whisperer here with the big days, big plays bets, which I've been doing very well this year, undefeated, from the Charlotte 49ers, Central Michigan, to Minnesota last week. This week we're going to do the Pittsburgh Panthers, -5.5 against Miami Hurricanes. Miami Hurricanes are not a good team. Pitt's been playing very solid lately. I had an impressive game last Friday night. They went into the Carrier Dome, which is never easy, in the Syracuse. Final score was 27-20, but it wasn't that close. They scored a meaningless touchdown at the end, and Pitt put a whooping on them. So I think Pitt wins this game by at least 7. So there's your big days, big plays, Line Whisperer bet of the week. And I'm going to keep going anti-Rutgers. My first bonus pick is Liberty. Liberty, I don't even know what their last name is. They're -7 against Rutgers, in Rutgers. Rutgers is just one of the god-awful, most worst football teams of all time. So let's bet against them. They're right up there with UMass, easy team to bet against. New Mexico State, New Mexico. Of all those teams, I don't like any of the other ones. They're playing other really crappy teams. But this one, Liberty, has been playing some decent teams. They've been traveling around the country, and they've been doing a good job. So I think they can win by at least 10 here. So the bonus number 1 is Liberty, -7 over Rutgers. And my second bonus pick this week are Arizona State Sun Devils, Herm Edwards. They got beat up pretty good last week by Utah, but I think Utah is definitely a top 10 team in the country. They're very good. And now they're going to go to UCLA, and they're going to stick it to Chip Kelly. It's going to make up for that Stanford game where I go and make the bet, and 10 minutes later I find we're down to the 4th-string quarterback. It was garbage. So we're not going to really count that one as a loss. But we're going to get a revenge on Chip Kelly with Arizona State, -4. They've been playing well. -4. They've been playing well this year. Herm Edwards is going to get his team motivated. Definitely Arizona State wins. I think they'll win by 7 or more. So let's go with Arizona State as our number 2 bonus pick. Before I get to the other games, the frisky bets I like, there's a definite cookie bet here. And it didn't work out well. And unfortunately, when cookie bet this last time was Maryland-Purdue. Somehow Maryland was favored on the road, and they got their ass kicked. Now Purdue is favored by 10 at home against Illinois. Illinois has covered the last 2 weeks against Michigan, and they beat Wisconsin outright. How are they a 10-point favorite underdog? If this line was like 4 or 5, Illinois would be an absolute bonus, maybe even the big plays. But this line is strange. Something's up. How the hell is Purdue favored by 10? It makes no sense. So Cookie loves it. She's saying take Purdue minus 10 for no other reason than they know something. And let's see what Purdue does, and maybe Cookie can get back on the winning side of the ledger. And finally, some frisky bets where I'll just put a little money on some games I like. Let's start with UNC minus 3.5. I think they bounced back. They lost in a 6 overtime game. Once you get to overtime in college football, it's pretty much a crapshoot who's going to win. But I think minus 3.5 over Duke at home. That's a no-brainer. I was really close to making them one of the bonus, but I can't have like 4 of them. I had to narrow it down, so I chose Arizona State. But I like UNC minus 3.5. I like Arizona at Stanford minus 1. Stanford's a horrible football team. They have been all year. So I think Arizona does the job. Their quarterback's really good. I think they're going to go in there and win that game. Just got to win by a field goal. That's enough by me. And then I always like an odd team, a team that nobody else is really talking about and you won't find on TV. So you got to follow it through your phone, like Minnesota Rutgers, like Central Michigan versus New Mexico. I love those types of games. Charlotte 49ers versus UMass. This week's game is Western Kentucky plus 5.5 against Marshall. Marshall's not that good. Western Kentucky is a solid team with good coaching. They beat Army on the road. Army's always a tough one. And so I think at worst they'll lose by 3. They might even win outright. But I think Western Kentucky can keep it close with Marshall and give them a good game. So Western Kentucky plus 5.5, UNC minus 3.5, and Arizona minus 1. What we just discussed here in order to win some money this week. As I've noted, my big 3 plays. My big play is Pitt minus 5.5 at home against Miami. With the 2 following that up, Liberty playing a terrible Rutgers team minus 7. Arizona State minus 4 versus UCLA. I think all 3 of these games are going to be no doubt abouters. Quite confident. So let's bring them home. I've also mentioned the cookie special. I don't know how Purdue's favored by that many points. Normally I would bet on Illinois all day, but for some reason this makes no sense. And Cookie loves it, so she says take Purdue and the minus 9. And then I threw in some extra little side cash for you. A little side hustle. Western Kentucky plus 5.5. I think they're a good team, and they probably will even win this outright. Arizona's a solid team. Stanford's terrible. That's enough said there. Iowa State, they've been making me money all year long, so I got to stay with them. Going over Oklahoma State at home, 10.5. Seems like a high line, but Vegas can't make these lines high enough for Iowa State and LSU, 2 teams. So Iowa State, I'll take them. And then finally UNC, I think they bounce back. They had their little setback last week, so the line's a little low. I think UNC wins this game pretty easily because Duke is a terrible team. Plus, it's a rivalry. UNC is going to want to stick it to them. They'll win this game by at least 10. So there you go. Now let's win us some money.